Ow! I'm your host, Abby.
Sophia.
Madison.
Hello, Ghost Girls. Welcome back to the Ghost Girls Ghost Stories podcast. And today we have a special guest.
Oh, hi. Hi, I'm Kat.
So, what is your believability rating in the paranormal?
Ooh, okay.
10 being you 100% believe.
Okay, I think I'd rank myself at a good 6 or a 7. I definitely think, I'm definitely leaning more towards yes.
Okay.
But there's always, that doubt in my mind.
Mm-hmm. Good to have some skepticism.
So, a recap of our first episode, we talked a little bit about, anyway.
That sounded like a dead body being too mad.
Out of sight, out of mind.
A recap of our first episode, we went over some of our personal ghost stories and...
The first thing that made us believe.
Yes. This episode will be telling more ghost stories. I guess we can start off by asking our guest here. Kat, do you have any notable paranormal experiences?
Other than the normal paranormal experiences of hearing your name or hearing voices at night or the scratches thing, where you just randomly get scratches. I've experienced multiple times where I've actually seen the scratch happening.
Oh, wait, no,
and it's just one line, but usually I've seen it start and then it would always end as soon as I put my hand on it.
Madison just scooted over.
I am very clumsy, so it could have just been an already existing scratch, but
you said you saw it.
Yeah, I thought I saw it,
Oh my
but
God.
I was fine anyway. So other than those things, I had this doll once. It was a My Life doll, which is a American Girl doll knockoff.
Oh.
And I loved that thing. But everybody in my house hated it. My dad, my brother, my sister, they love Doctor Who. And there was one episode of Doctor Who with a doll thing. And so they all hate dolls. My brother repeatedly told me throughout the entire time that I had the doll that he swears he sees it blinking and moving its eyes and stuff. So one night I was lying in bed and I was going to sleep. And the doll fell on top of me. And I had the doll in a swing chair. And it was hung up on my curtain rod next to my bed, but it was at least 3 feet diagonal from where I was. And it fell in a strange way where it wasn't exactly in the position that I had it sitting in. Its arms were up for some reason. And I freaked out, I think reasonably so. And I put her back in the thing and I couldn't fall asleep. So I took her and I shoved her head first into the top shelf of my closet. I do share a room with my sister, but she didn't even know that all this had happened. And I woke up the next morning at 6 a.m. to use the bathroom. And my bathroom is right next to my room. So I get up and I open my door and the doll is sitting in front of my door.
No.
Staring at with its head turned. So I go to the bathroom and when I come out, I swear its head moved again.
Ew.
But I, again, was freaking out. So I took the doll and I very nicely placed it in my closet this time. And I was making sure it was comfortable and stuff. That same morning, I threw it out. And I was that's it, it's done with it. And then after the garbage went out that night, I went back into my closet to get something, and it was back in the closet in the exact same place that I had put it.
No.
And I was okay, is somebody pranking me? So I talked to people in my house, and everyone's what are you talking about? My mom was why would you throw out your doll? You love your doll, blah, blah, blah. And I told my brother and my dad, and they were no, you need to watch that thing go into the trash. And so I waited a week, because I was scared. And then I put it in the trash again and made sure I watched it get thrown out. And I've never seen it since that. That was very scary.
Spirits do get attached to objects. You had a haunted doll.
Could go next.
She's just
Once
interrupting.
I had an American Girl doll. That's the end of the story.
When I was younger, I would stay over at my cousin's house a lot. Keep in mind, they live in the middle of nowhere, New Jersey. So my 3 cousins and I always slept in the basement, me and my cousin G on an air mattress, and my cousins A and E in sleeping bags. I'm just using the first letters of the names.
I remember this story.
So one particular night was rather strange when I witnessed the door to their game room open, seemingly on its own. I sat up and glanced at my cousins, who all looked to be asleep already. I looked back at the door to see a shadow figure staring back. I sat there, petrified with fear, as this thing slowly walked up the stairs. I saw all of the lights to their kitchen flicker on and off a few times before hearing the sliding glass door to their backyard open and slam shut. I looked back at my cousins and saw my cousin E sitting up in a sleeping bag. I asked if he saw that too, and he nodded his head with the purest expression of fear that I've ever seen on someone's face.
Wait.
What?
So you guys went back to sleep?
Yeah. The next morning at breakfast, I asked if either my aunt or my uncle had been downstairs in the game room throughout the night, and they said no. They were like, what? What are you talking about? We were upstairs.
Crazy.
And I'm like, okay.
That's actually so scary.
Yeah, that is very terrifying.
That it's even scarier at the prospect of it being a person.
You like an intruder? Oh, have you considered that too? Because that's creepier.
It's creepier that way.
But I think that's very unlikely.
I
Like,
do.
why
I
would
also
they-
think that as
Why
well.
would they go down there and like?
Why would they
don't
not do
have
anything either?
Yeah,
Like,
they didn't do anything.
there's no point in going in a house and not doing anything.
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
that sounds like I'm a
I
terrible.
mean,
I mean,
you didn't see the shadow carrying anything, right? It was just a person.
Oh my
No,
gosh.
like,
A shadow
no,
person.
literally, it was just a shadow person.
So
they
it
were
didn't-
staring
so,
at
yeah,
me.
So they didn't steal anything.
Do you want to go now?
I will go now. So my house is haunted.
okay.
I forget how old it is, but the house is really old. Our attic,
Statistically.
we know that it was like some type of like drug den. It's purple with a spray painted peace sign on the ceiling,
Always
a
and
bad
there's
sign.
like graffitied names all
Oh
over.
please! Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So
It's-
you mean somebody just smoked weed in your attic at some point?
There was a lot of weed done in my attic
When
at
you
some
say
time.
drug den, that makes me think of like, oh god, the crack cocaine.
Have you heard of all those people who thought their houses were haunted and it was just somebody living in their attic?
I
That
would hate
terrifies
that.
me.
That's the
Crazy.
worst
That's
thought
That
ever.
scares me
terrifying.
so much.
Shout out to the boy.
One of my older relatives back in the day went up to my mom's current room and saw like a little girl just like dancing around or something. And
Okay.
it was my aunt's room at the time, and she had also had like dreams that like a little girl was dancing around. But now I'm like, were they dreams? And like people would like sometimes hear like tap dancing up in that room.
That's like really creepy. That's
yeah.
like The Shining.
And like
Is that the right movie?
yes.
Okay.
Come play with us, Dad.
Yes.
The little girl is like the nice spirit
The
here.
tap dancing is kind of funny though.
My experience with what I think is her is I had one winter break during high school where I was just like really sad, and I had a friend give me a candle as a present, and there was like a little note with it that said something like, "Let this be the light in the dark times," or something stupid like that. I don't use candles, so I just threw it on my dresser and left it there. But there were 3 consecutive mornings where I would wake up and this candle would be right in the middle of the room on the floor. And no one entered my room because my doors are loud. I would have heard them. So,
Oh my god.
yeah, I think it was this little girl trying to remind me to be happy, I guess.
Aw.
It could have also been the little girl telling you to bring her back to life with some ritual or something.
The rest of it's kind of creepy.
Oh,
So,
great.
it's this back hallway that connects my room, my grandma's room, our staircase, and my sister's room. And everyone is scared of this hallway.
Okay.
And one night, years ago, my cousin was spending the night and she was in my grandma's room with her. And I went upstairs and I was like, oh, good night, guys. And they were like, were you up here like a couple minutes ago trying to scare us? I was like, no, I literally just came up here. Why? And they were like, it sounded like someone was trying to like sound like the Grudge, like the, and they thought that it was me.
Oh my god.
And I was like, well, I literally just came up here, so I don't know what it was. I even checked with my sister. I was like, did you come out in the hallway and like making noise? And she was like, no.
Oh my god.
So I was it took me like an hour to prepare myself to go into my room alone.
That's so scary, actually.
Yeah.
I have only ever lived in really small apartments, so big houses scare me so much because like, I just can't imagine like being alone or even like being with people but like in a space where you don't know what's in every room and like you can't hear what's going on like in the next room.
the most infamous ghost of my house.
Oh no.
So this spirit, the first time someone saw it, it was my sister. My sister has like psychic abilities, like she sees things that other people
Okay.
don't see. She went up in broad daylight into this hallway and she saw at the end of it a man standing there wearing a hat, but she like couldn't like make out his features. It was
Oh
just
my
kind of like a
gosh.
silhouette.
What type of hat was it?
It's not a top hat. I know it's not like a Abraham Lincoln. Like, it's not that.
It's like Doug
And it's not a
Dimmadome.
baseball cap. It's like one of those like
Like a fedora.
I don't know what it is, but it's something that has a brim all the way around. I didn't ask my sister
The
like
hat
what
is
type
really
of hat that
important.
was. So she's seen this thing a couple times since then, and it's mostly now at night. The bathroom is right across from her room, so when she needs to go to the bathroom at night, she goes out, and on her way back, she'll usually see in the darkness, darker than the darkness, is this silhouette of a man wearing a hat. And so I was like, my sister's crazy. No one else has seen anything. But then her friend spent the night and stayed in her room, and we didn't tell her anything about this Hat Man.
Mm-hmm.
Which also, Hat Man is like a thing that people talk about with like the Benadryl demon.
Yes,
So
yes,
that's-
yes. The dream thing, yeah.
And I think we just have one that's real. So my sister's friend went out to use the bathroom as she was walking back. She saw the same thing my sister usually sees. And she had described that to me the next morning before my sister was even awake. So that kind of like solidified like something's there.
Yeah, yikes.
And like anyone that stays in my sister's room will wake up at some point in the night feeling like they're being watched.
I would move. Throw the whole house out. I'm guessing you don't have any.
No, not really. Golf clubs. That's
Golf
really, really spooky.
Part of the reason that I lean more towards like believing in paranormal stuff is because I was raised in like a very religious household, and the Bible does mention like, spirits and stuff being real, but not in the sense of like dead people coming back and like haunting the living, but like demons and angels who come in that form to like do the bidding of God or the devil. My mom is definitely like the only person in my house I can say definitely does also believe in that stuff. And she's my entire life has been like, never do a Ouija board, never do this, never do this, because like it could never bring anything
We
good.
should do a Ouija
genuinely.
board.
We'll go ghost hunting, but we won't play with a Ouija board.
Yeah. There's lines I
Boo.
won't cross.
That's so funny, actually. I grew up watching these things, the ghost hunting that all those YouTubers did, and like the BuzzFeed Unsolved ghost videos.
Honestly, the thing that worries that most about me going to abandoned places to like ghost hunt is like breathing in
Asbestos. Do you have any other ghost stories?
I don't know if it's a ghost or a person.
I mean,
Okay.
do we ever know?
Well, this also happened the night before Halloween. I was at my best friend's house sleeping over, and she has like a fairly large house. She has 2 floors and an attic.
Okay.
So she swears on her life she has a ghost called the Attic Man. She calls
The Attic Man.
She swears he's a nice ghost. And after my experiences, I kind of believe her. It was like almost 3 a.m. and I decided to go to the bathroom to like wash my face and stuff. The bathroom is right across the hall from hers. And as I'm in there, I hear what sounds like glasses moving. And now this bathroom shares a wall
Must have been the wind.
this bathroom shares a wall with an office. And then that office shares a wall with the kitchen. So, like, I didn't understand why I was hearing that so clearly unless it was, like, mugs in the office. But nobody goes in that office because it's more of, like, a storage space than an office.
Yeah.
Because I heard that, I started listening really closely. And I heard knocking on a window. And then I heard what sounded like somebody trying to open their patio door, but it was locked. Like, clearly it was locked. And I was like, what? What? Now, I know from being best friends with this girl that she has always heard, like, moving glasses or clinking mugs, whatever. And that's what she calls the Attic Man.
What if the Attic Man was trying to
warn you
about
That's
the
what I
intruder?
think. I run into her room and I
Yeah.
lock the door behind me because at this point I'm like, somebody's trying to get into your house. I left the door of the bathroom open with the light on, so like the light was shining through the bottom of her door. And as I'm explaining this to her, she sees a pair of feet past the door. There's a patio on the floor we were on.
Okay.
So that's what I heard. So we didn't hear any stairs. So the person was on that floor if there was a person. And it definitely wasn't her dad or her sister. So we're freaking out. The next night, we go out trick-or-treating. And we're a few blocks away from her house, and we're talking about what happened the night before. And the street lamp above us goes off. But we're like, it's fine, you know, it's New Jersey, maybe they don't pay for that stuff. We keep walking, and then before we get to the next one goes off. And then the next one goes off. And the next one starts flickering, and we're like, we're going back. The only really way that a ghost ties into that, in my theory, is that Attic Man was trying to help us.
This just makes me sound insane, but here goes nothing. It was Halloween night, and I had just gotten home from a night of trick-or-treating with friends. We had watched a really bad horror movie called The Hole. I do not recommend watching it.
What?
It involves an evil clown puppet whose presence is implied by ringing bells.
Wait, why is it called The Hole then?
It's called The Hole because 2 brothers move into a new house, they find a hole in their basement, and they look inside, and their greatest fears start manifesting out of the hole.
So it's it.
But really bad. So it was around 9:30, and I was about to fall asleep, and I hear clear as day bells ringing from the hallway right outside of my room. And I don't have a door on my room, by the way. So I was freaking out, and I sit up and I call out for my mom, and she doesn't reply because she had her door closed. I book it straight to her room, and she woke up in a panic because, I kind of just randomly busted into her room. And I was like, hey, Mom, did you just hear bells ringing in the hallway? And she's like, no, what are you talking about? But anyways, I felt crazy. And from that point on, I didn't sleep in my room, or at all, for that matter, for the next few months. And I kept hearing them faintly anywhere in my house. Like, if I was downstairs, I would hear them upstairs. I started going to school like way earlier than I should have because I could not stand to be alone in the house. It was just a fit of hysteria, I guess, but...
How old were you when this happened?
I was in high school.
You might have just had a break.
A psychotic break? Yeah, no, like, this is the only other somewhat paranormal experience that I've had in my house, aside from Charlie, my imaginary friend.
Yeah, I can't explain Charlie.
We didn't have any pets at the time. That was, like, the only thing I can debunk.
Do you have any siblings?
I'm an only child. It's just
That's
my mom and I.
crazy.
Or at the time it was.
You just have a
That's
ghost following you
crazy.
around, just occasionally ringing a bell just to mess with
Well,
you.
I looked it up and it said, oh, it might be a guardian angel. I'm like,
So did it just eventually go away?
It happened to stop shortly after I heard something in the bathroom at my school. I knew I was alone because there were no feet under the
That
stalls.
was your guardian angel finally leaving you the hell alone.
I was literally just washing my hands because I was in art class and I got paint all over my hands. And I heard crying, like very visceral crying,
It was
like
me.
sobbing. It was echoing in the bathroom. I even said like, hello? Like, are you okay? And then it
I
stopped.
feel like, I just feel like this would happen to like an eccentric artist back then, like Edgar Allan Poe.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, I'm just going to end it with the Devil's Tree story so we can segue into our next episode. Okay, so I've been to the Devil's Tree in Basking Ridge, New Jersey 4 times. It'll be 5 soon. The first time I went with 2 of my friends in broad daylight. It was not scary at all. Well, it shouldn't have been. And as we were walking up to it, all of a sudden I felt like I was being choked. I had to step away because it got so bad that I couldn't breathe. The second time I went with my best friend Ryan, shout out to Ryan, I saw that there were numbers written on the tree in red paint, and I read them.
Red paint.
Yeah, I read them aloud, and 40 seconds after, we started smelling like firecracker smoke.
I mean, it is New Jersey.
No, but there was nobody around. Like, that's the thing. The third time I went, it was after a snowstorm. So we debunked the heat rock, which is at the base of the tree. It's like a little thing like, oh, if you touch the rock, it's like really hot because it's the depths of hell heating it up. And no snow is on it because it just melts immediately. No, that's totally false. So we debunked that.
False, debunked.
But I saw a very tall figure, all dressed in black, like a cloak, with a featureless white face.
Slenderman?
The Grim
No,
Reaper.
Slenderman doesn't have a cloak. The Slenderman
it
just
was-
changes outfit.
Yeah. He wants
crazy.
to look good for you.
No, but the tuxes would be looking good. He was dressed down.
He didn't like you that much. He wants to look bad for you, actually.
I caught solid evidence of something the 4th time I went. It's a live photo of this person in a cloak, and they are slowly approaching the camera. I took another live photo right after, and there's sound associated with live photos. So whenever I play that, I hear... You're dead. For our next episode, we will be kidnapping an honorary ghost guy, Gabe, and we're going to be taking him on a ghost hunt at the Devil's Tree. We will also have a very special guest.
Very special.
Very, very, very.
Who has worked 13 seasons on the Dead Files show. We look forward to hearing what he has to say. Stay tuned for our next episode. See you on the other side, Ghost Girls.
I was like the Hex
That's
Sisters,
great.
like
Yeah.
bad dreams.
You guys all were like, see you on the other side.